Welcome back, y'all. This is Nest86. This is the Bars Behind the Scar series. This is part 2. I thank you guys for joining me. Beforehand, I apologize. I mean, the weather here is it's pretty bad right now, so if you hear some crazy noises and there's a mean old Rottweiler behind our house, so if you hear a dog barking, you know what I mean? So I apologize. This microphone's pretty sensitive, so it picks up a lot of these noises. So anyways, welcome back. You see this banner behind me? It says subscribe. This is a platform I'm utilizing to express all the things that I love, right? So I love hip hop culture. Notice I don't just say rap. I say hip hop. Why? Because hip hop consists of elements, right? Breaking, b-boying, MCing, DJing, right? A lot of people add on a whole lot of other things. I just kind of keep it to the fore. But obviously, there's an extension to all these things, and I love hip hop culture, man. I love MCing. I'm doing this whole project, so obviously it's got to be my interest. So I'm using Ascribe as a platform to express myself through all these creative means, through breaking, through MCing, through philosophy, through theology, right? Like, I love the word. First and foremost, I'm a believer, so anything that I say or anything that I write, anything that I express, it comes from that school of thought, you know what I mean? It comes from that worldview. So anyways, subscribe if you haven't done so yet. All right? Yeah. Let's get to this, man. We're going to break down these bars. Let's get down to it. You know what I'm saying? We finished off 2 days ago, on the last 4 bars. I wanted to touch a little bit on that before I get on the chorus, and I'm gonna touch on the last 16. I promise you this video is gonna be a whole lot shorter than the others. So I didn't really plan to go that long, but I was like, you know what? Let's just make it happen. You know what I mean? So anyways, y'all, love y'all. Thank you. All right, appreciate it. This song will be out next month. I don't know what date yet, so I'm not gonna drop that, but it'll be out. You know what I mean? All right, y'all. Peace. Let's do this. All right, y'all. Let's do this. So check it. I'm going to throw a visual on the screen real quick. And along with this visual, I'm going to throw some lyrics on here. And it's going to be the last 4 bars, the last lyrics of the first verse, which is domestic violence in my home. This is what I finished off the other video with. Domestic violence in my home. It filled my ears and it disturbed my eyes. They arrested my father, my flawed hero, for all of his crimes. So check it. I'm going to touch on this real quick before I get into this hook and before I get into this last 16 bars. I promise you this video is not going to be as long as the other one. It was pretty long, but hey, check it out. So check it, yo. So the domestic violence was pretty wild. I think growing up, I think that's one of the reasons that left a lot of scars, psychologically. Like I say, it filled my ears, right? Like as a child, I think the worst thing you can hear is adults, especially your parents, right? Arguing and fighting and these loud screams, and especially when either spouse, right? Because women can beat the guys, but usually we see that the guys are always the one, battering the women. But it can happen both ways, right? But typically, again, domestic violence is something that happens usually with more often with men abusing women. So as a kid, that's the worst thing, man. That's why I say this in this verse. It's like it really, it disturbed my ears, man, and it disturbed my eyes. It filled my ears and it disturbed my eyes, and that's really true, man. Like, it just, you just hear all this, and it's almost kind of like you want to escape from it all, right? Like, you just kind of like, man, I don't want to hear this stuff, man. Like, it's really scary, especially when you're a kid, man. Like, your parents fighting, and like no kid wants to ever see that, especially the people that they love, right? Their mother and their father, and and it disturbed my eyes. Obviously, man. I mean, you think about it. Your dad is beating your mom. You know, you're looking at it. You know, you're looking at all this stuff. You're listening to it. You know, your heart's racing. You know, you're. This is trauma, man. This is trauma. This is stuff that this takes years to heal from, man. And things like this can really do a lot of damage to children, man. It did a lot of damage to me, and a lot of healing took place. You know, God really restored me. You know, there was a lot of hatred in my heart towards my dad. I mean, you think about it, there's a person abusing of your mother, and don't get me wrong, I love my dad, but I just hated the things that he did. And I hated that he abused my mom. I hated that he beat her. I hated that, you know, I hated everything he did. Like, I loved him, but I hated him, if that makes sense. And that's because of all this domestic violence. You know, it's really separated us. You know, our relationship was really strained because of it. So obviously, it disturbed my eyes, and they arrested my father, my flawed hero, for all of his crimes. You know, this visual here that I'm going to put up on the screen, this is a location in Hesperia that I saw my dad get arrested for the first time. This is the first time that I've ever seen him get arrested. And this is the time where he, you know, I touch on it on the next verse, but where he beat my mother with a tennis racket, yo. And you think about it, a tennis racket, like, how did he beat her with a tennis racket? A tennis racket is such a random object. It probably, you know, something that we were playing with probably the night before. It was there in the living room. And you think about it, any kind of abuser, in that moment, they're just going to grab any kind of object that can serve as a potential weapon. And the fact that he went for a tennis racket, you know, a tennis racket has a handle to it. The end of it, obviously, you know, the metal part can inflict pain. And I remember, man, going through this experience, just seeing that. And it wasn't just like one time or two times. Man, bro. It was probably more than 10 times. And, you know, none of this is rehearsed, man. I didn't want to, you know, rehearse anything on purpose, because I just really wanted to just pour my heart out. And I'm just kind of going through the memories of this, you know, and it still hurts. You know, I remember that morning. I was probably about, I don't know, man, 8, 9 years old, maybe younger, something like that. And he grabbed her by the hand, you know, like a child. He's just grabbing her by one hand, and he's hitting her, man, you know, behind, you know, on her behind, on the back, just wherever it can inflict damage. You know, you think about it, this sort of person, you know, they're not, you know, they snap, man. They snap quick. And that was my father. He snapped. It wasn't the first time I seen him snap. You know, I seen him snap at his brother. I seen him, like I mentioned, I've seen him snap at other people. And he just snapped, man. And that's the object that he went for, and he beat her with that, man. And there was a police report. They came, they took pictures, they confiscated the tennis racket. I mean, you know, there's a whole process that goes on, and I mean, to this day, man, I still have everything. I had to, you know, that's just a whole legal thing I had to do, but still have the reports, you know, and it was really bad, yo. It was just a really bad situation. I'm sure my sister and my brother were really affected. And I my mom managed to escape that morning after that, and she went to a payphone when there was payphones around, and she called the police. She either went to a payphone or she went to the next door house apartment, and she called the police. The police came, and it was really scary, man. As a kid, you see the police come into your crib, and they're snatching your dad. You know, they're putting the handcuffs on him, and I remember just kind of my brother, my sister, and I kind of pleading with the police and telling them not to take our dad, you know. And even after for what he did, you know, that's how kids are, man. You know, they're forgiving, they forgive. And we would have easily forgave him, you know, then, you know, if he would have came to us humbly, right, and repented of that. But that just shows how much we really loved him, man. And it just, you know, again, there was a lot of other situations. This was one of the big ones, though, just because I was a lot younger, and the whole arrest record. And I mean, police came, you know, the cops came a number of times to other places and other situations, and to the point, man, where my dad got a record. You know, he had his permanent residency here. I mean, he had his residency. He was going to fix his permanent residency potentially, and then, you know, become a citizen. And this even affected all of that, you know. He started building up a record and this and that, to the point where he was deported, you know. And this was back in 2001, 2002. And it just shows, man, the kind of choices that we make leads to consequences. And that just applies to every area in life, you know. You reap what you sow. That's what the Bible says. You know, you reap what you sow, and it's true. You know, it's very true. That's why the whole drug world was never appealing to me, and I just never wanted to be like him. You know. So, yeah, that was that verse, yo. I'm gonna hop on to the next one. All right, y'all. So let's get into these. Let's get into the hook. The hook is real simple, but the hook is real meaningful. So the name of the song is Scars. I'm gonna throw the lyrics on the screen, that way you guys can read them. So it goes. You want to know how I got these scars? My wounds have been healed by the grace of God. Yo, you want to know how I got these bars? They're a badge of honor. I embrace these bars. You want to know how I got these scars? These wounds have been healed by the grace of God. Yo, you want to know how I got these bars? They're a badge of honor. I embrace these bars. So I'm sure that's pretty self-explanatory from everything that I've been kind of talking about. I kind of did a word play off the Dark Knight Rises, right? Where the Joker, which is Heath Ledger, right? Throughout the film, he's like, you want to know how I got these scars, right? And he's just really like a psychopath about it. But, so I got the idea from that. So I was like, you know what? I think that's pretty ill. Like the Joker, you know, he was messed up, you know. He didn't get any help. He took the route of the villain, right? And difference between me, man, is I didn't take the route of the villain. You know what I mean? I took the path that brings healing, and that's the path of righteousness. That's the path of, and it's not like that I took it, right? But it's that God did it, that God sustained me, God healed me, and he still is. And through it all, he's been sovereign and he's been great. You know, even despite all these situations and circumstances, I really sought refuge in him, and he's done a great work in my life. So, you want to know how I got these scars? I'm asking a question, and then I say, my wounds have been healed by the grace of God. And I couldn't be any more truthful. Like my wounds, they have been healed. And I think the process of healing, sometimes it can be a longer process than people usually expect, and people can kind of say, hey, well, didn't this happen to you when you were a kid? And it's like, yeah, it did. And that's when it's that's the reason why it even made more of an impact in my life, because as a kid, I don't think no kid should ever see this, should never see this in their household. They should never go through any of this stuff. And but you want to know how I got these bars? And that's kind of just stating wordplay on scars and bars and lyricism and the whole hip hop thing. So you want to know how I got these bars? Well, they're from all the experiences that I've been through, right? Like, I couldn't be any truer. That's how I got these bars, from my actual life experience. You know what I'm saying? And I say they're a badge of honor. What's a badge of honor? Well, my scars are a badge of honor. These bars are a badge of honor. And that's why I embrace these bars and I embrace these scars. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what I mean by that. Like, what do you mean that's a badge of honor? So I remember in college we had to read a book for my English class called the Badges of Honor. And the story was about this soldier, this young kid who was a wimp in the battlefield. And long story short, he tried to get away from the whole process of war. Like, he didn't want to go to war, right? Like, he was a chicken. He didn't want that. But throughout the process of the book, as it kind of keeps going, he starts, he starts becoming brave, right, in war. And he saw that his fellow compatriots, right, the soldiers, once he saw scars on them and the cuts on them, he started embracing that. He started to have respect for them. He's like, man, like those scars that I was afraid of and these cuts that these soldiers are getting, it's like something that I used to see as repulsive. Now I see that they're a badge of honor. And it's like, and then he went to war, and then he started gaining his own badges of honor, and he didn't run anymore, and he faced it. And as an MC, man, like, I draw inspiration from everything, from stories, from personal life experiences, from words, from metaphors. That's just how my mind works. So that chorus is real short, but the ideas that brought it about came from different sources, and I just thought it was really meaningful. All right, y'all, man, I really appreciate you guys rocking with me through this little process. Again, just some things I just want to get out my chest, and ultimately, I just want to remind you, man, that even though there's a story behind this, and it's called it's the bars behind these scars. My whole purpose in this is to encourage you, man. You, the viewer, you, the listener, you, the person, you on the other side of the screen. I want to encourage you. You have a story, and the world needs to hear it. All right, y'all. With that being said, I'm going to begin on the second verse, which is the last verse, all right? Another 16 bars. And I'm going to begin with the first 4. I'm going to throw it up on the screen. That way you guys can follow along with me. And I'm going to read it. Check it. It says, now I'm a teenager. The hate inside me made me heartburn, extreme anger. The abuse wasn't just bruises and scratches. It was emotional and psychologic. It's tough to overcome the trauma of dad beating mama with a tennis racket. So basically that, man, is now the years are passing by. I saw the domestic violence growing up, not just the domestic violence, but just the broken home, right? The whole being raised in in the atmosphere of drugs, right? Which comes along with everything else, right? So now I'm a teenager, and I was probably about 15 years old at this time, and I'm living in Apple Valley here on Deep Creek, and I'm gonna throw this other visual. This is the actual house. I'm gonna throw it on the screen. This is the actual house where we lived at. I believe we moved there like in '99, and we were there till about the ending of 2001. And that's the house, man, where you know, I became a teenager. I had more strength. Remember, the rest of the verse says, I was a teenager. The hate inside me made me harbor an extreme anger. So growing up, man, I already told you guys the history, the way that I felt towards my dad. And over the years, I started harboring a lot of resentment, a lot of frustrations, a lot of anger. I became a very angry person. I became a really violent man myself, right? And I apologize. That's my little son Jedediah in the background. And you know, even now, man, I'm a father and I have a son. I got 2 daughters and I have a young boy. He's about gonna be 2 years old in March 4th. And it's crazy, man. It's like now I'm in my father's footsteps, you know? Now I'm in his shoes. You know, now I have a son. And guess what, man? This cycle will never be repeating itself with my children. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's something that I know by the grace and the help of God that's never happening. I'm showing my kids the best, the very best. So check it. So I carried a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. I was this angry teenager. You know, I was really, my first high school was Apple Valley High School. I was a 9th grader there. And, you know, again, man, like I was always fighting in school. I was always just like, if a cat had a problem with me, it was just like, you know, back then people used to push each other. Like I didn't put up with the pushing, bro. Like someone touched me or pushed me, it was like, boom, I snap. So then that whole anger, man, that you know, all that angry, you know, slowly but surely my dad's characteristics were becoming a part of me. And little did I know, keep in mind, I also wasn't like born again yet. I wasn't a believer at this point. Like I was just kind of delving into Christianity. And so yeah, man, that started to become my nature. The same way, just feel like I can take anyone on, and that's how it was, man. You know, I fought a lot in school. Something funny, man. Some dude who's a professional baseball player now, Jason Vargas. You know, I was a freshman in 2000 Apple High. He was a senior, and again, I was just that attitude, you know, where I don't know, the teacher kicked me out of class because I was just being an idiot, just not listening and stuff, and then I cussed him out, and then he wanted to embarrass me in front of the class, and then I flipped him off, and I said, you know, all the bad words I can say to him. He told me to step outside, and then I'm looking inside the window, and then all the students are looking at me, and I'm flipping them off. And again, this was my attitude, bro, and I'm not happy about it, but I have to state the history because this is who I was. This is what it was, and I was just flipping all of them off, you know, just not caring. And Jason Vargas, you know, the cat who's a professional baseball player now, he comes outside the door, and he's like, I know you're not flipping me off, right? All right, so like I was saying, so then Jason opens the door, and you know, he's a big old jock. and he's like, hey man, I know you're not flipping me off. I don't know who the dude was, right? I guess he had a rep in school. And he's like, I know you're not flipping me off. And I'm like, nah, I'm flipping you and the whole classroom off. Like, what are you gonna do about it? What's up? And then he's just like, yo, okay, we'll see when we get, you know, when that bell rings or whatever. All right. So he thought I was just going to kind of back down and just roll out. And that wasn't part of my nature. Again, guy, he's 3 years older than me, obviously bigger dude. But again, it goes back to that reality of like, I just didn't care, man. That whole, just my upbringing made me that person, really calloused, angry person. Don't get me wrong, I had good characteristics as well. Like I got along with people and, befriended people and stuff like that. But when it came down to scrapping, when it came down to fighting, like I just didn't care, man. And so anyways, long story short, we're there and I'm like, what's up, man? What you gonna do? And he's just kind of like, waiting for me to swing, whatever. And I'm just like, I'm waiting for it to go down. And then a teacher comes out of nowhere, slams him on the wall, thinking he's the one picking on me because I'm the smaller, freshman. And, while I was the one the whole time, started the whole thing, So anyways, I give you example after example after example about a bunch of stuff, man, but I'm not going to do all that. That's just like a little highlight there. But that's kind of like who I was. Like, I just didn't care. So now I'm a teenager. The hate inside me made me harbor an extreme anger. The abuse wasn't just bruises and scratches. It was emotional and psychological. And I think that's a really important thing. It wasn't just bruises. It wasn't just scratches. But keep in mind, there was bruises. There was scratches. More than just scratches. When you got a grown man, my father, come in my room at that house, and I'll put the visual on the screen. At that house, I'm in my room. He comes home. He is really angry. He's fiending for drugs. He's broke at the time. I guess the business isn't going good. He comes home. He asks my mom for some money so that way he can go and buy some drugs, right? Get his fix. My mom says, I'm not going to give you anything. And so he's really upset. He goes inside my room and I'm sleeping, and this is where he assaults me. He attacks me. I'm laying there, and he's just frustrated, and he just wanted to take it out on me, and again, my dad's a big dude, big old fist, right? And he comes behind me, man. He comes behind me, and he just starts just pounding me with his fist. Like, I'm not talking about like he's playing around. Like, nah, this dude is like, he's pounding the back of my head. Like, he's with his fist, with his bare fist, and he's just bah, bah, bah. He's just beating the back of my head, yo. And I was just kind of woken up and shocked, and I was just like, what's going on here, I was about to black out, man. And I was like, I knew if I didn't defend myself at that point, like, this dude was either gonna kill me or just, I don't know, man. So obviously, I was already pissed at him. I had a lot of anger already built up towards him. And I was like, nah, this ain't happening today, man. I'm 15 years old. I'm not that little kid anymore. I'm stronger now, right? I unleash on him, man. I unleash on him. I let it out. I exploded. I completely snapped. All the anger, everything. I was like, all right, man, this guy means business right now. Okay, now I can defend myself. So I unleashed on him, man. It was the first time. I don't believe you should ever hit your parents other than a situation like this. And it was the first time I ever laid hands on my dad, man. And first time I ever punched him in the face with my fist. And I'm not talking about just, I'm unleashing on him, man. And I'm doing the very best I can do to defend myself. And survival kicked in. The whole instinct of survival kicked in. And I had to defend myself, man. And after this circumstance, man, it made me feel sick to my stomach. I wasn't raised like that. I'm not that kind of person to ever raise a hand to my parents or to ever hurt my parents physically. Like, that was in me, man. Yeah, man, I don't wish that upon anybody. Like I said, I had to defend myself. I was in survival mode. First time I ever socked my dad, put my fist to his face like that. Wherever the hits landed, they landed. I was just frustrated. I was in survival mode. I just had to survive. And he chased after me, bro. He chased after me outside of that house. He chased after me. I remember the kitchen. There was like some floor cleaner, some type of liquid, right? He's chasing after me. I grab that. I throw him at him. I mean, I remember that vividly. I'm running out again. He's chasing me. He's like, oh, heck no. This guy just put his hands on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's chasing me and he's angry and he's ready to get me. And I go outside. I'm going to put the visual again, that door there. I get out of that door there, and first thing I see is my bicycle. I got a dyno, and I grab my BMX bike. None of that tables or anything are there that you see in that video, but my bike is there, and I grab my bike and I threw it at him, yo, and I literally grabbed my BMX and I, you know, just straight launched it at him, and it hit him right in the chest. And there was a hammer on the floor. Again, any kind of object, man, I'm just protecting myself. I'm in survival mode. This guy's chasing me, right? He's after me. And this is after he's, you know, he assaulted me and he's beating the back of my head. And I grab my hammer. I grab this hammer on the floor and I fling that at him, man. And it hits him right in his, I mentioned his arm, right? That's broken. It hit him, boom, right there, man. Right in his arm. And he looked at me, and I remember the stare in his eyes, man. It was just like a mixture of fear and like shock, you know? He was just kind of like, wow, like my son, you know, my son, he's actually, like my son is actually like the role reversed, you know? Where I was attacking him at one point and now I'm being attacked. And it's not that I was attacking him again. It was just survival mode, man. Angry, frustrated, a frustrated teenager just harboring all this anger, man. And that day, I'll tell you what, that day it came out. Oh, yeah, man. It was out. It was out. The beast was unleashed, and that's for sure, yo. And I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it to this day. You know, I remember just how sick to my stomach I felt, man. And after I threw that hammer, I rolled out. I ran. He kind of chilled after that. And I rolled out, and there was like a neighbor somewhere over there, like in the backside, and I used his phone and I called the cops. And the police came, and you know, they had to take pictures again of everything, and just my head and just all the things, man, all the just bruises that I had. And they had to hear the story. Again, I'm 15 years old. And I remember the police officer asked me if I wanted to press charges. To tell you the truth, I didn't even know what that meant. I did ask him, and he's like, he kind of told me like where he gets like severely punished, or just something where like you know, he kind of just he kind of gave me the definition of what pressing charges was. I didn't know it as a teenager, and I was just like, you know what, man, like, yeah, I'll press charges on him too. You know, I just wanted him to pay for all of his actions, for everything that he's ever done to us, and especially to me. And yeah, man, this is another one where he rolled out, and then they find him a few days later, and he gets arrested once again. He does prison time, and again the press charges, so that wasn't any better. I believe he's in counting at the time, and you know, a few months passed, and we go visit him, right? And I think the thing that really hurt me the most is that when we went to go visit him, you know, through the glass window, right? He wanted to talk to my brother and to my sister, but he told my mom he didn't even want to see me. Like, not only did he not want to talk to me, but he didn't even want me to be in his presence. So I remember once he said that, it was just like a dagger through my heart. You know what I mean? It was just like, that hurt. That hurt a lot. It was like, man, like my own father doesn't even want to see me, you know? And I cried, yo. Like, I cried a lot that day. Yeah, man. But, you know, after some time passed, you know, he had his time, and he recognized like I'm his son. And keep in mind, like, I was his boy again, right? You know, when my mother and my dad, when they were young, their first child was a boy. And I believe he only lived to be maybe about close to 2-3 months, I believe. And he had a heart condition. And he passed away as a baby. And his name was Martin. That's actually my father's name. And, yeah, man. So then my sister was born, and then I was that boy, after he loses a son. I was that boy again, you know what I mean? And that's what I mean by that. So I'm sure he probably had his time and reflected on things and then the next time we went to go see him, he asked for forgiveness, and he said that he understood why I did what I did, and I asked him to forgive me, and that I was sorry for what I did, and that I loved him. I repented, man, and so did he, and we left it at that. And yeah, man, that was like really, again, I don't know how mature I was in my faith at that point, but I know that the repentance and the forgiveness was real, from father to son and from son to father, so yeah, that's what took place at that scene there. So that's why I went there and filmed there, because that was really a meaningful spot. As I was recording this video too, man, it was just like, it's just healing. It's self-healing, just being at all those places and knowing that God, is doing a healing in my life. So it wasn't just bruises and scratches, but it was also emotional and psychological. And I'm sure you guys, I pretty much explained myself of all the emotions and everything that it was, and even psychological, psychologically it was, it really affected me there throughout the years, just not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, feeling like a failure, feeling like everything that happened at our house and all the problems was because of me, and the self-blame and just everything, and like I said, even now, even just like the PTSD and stuff like that. So it's tough to overcome the trauma of dad beating mama with a tennis racket. I kind of went through that, and it was, like, that's the whole reason that I exploded as a teenager, all those things, all the different circumstances that we lived through. So finally, as a teenager is when I exploded, I didn't even mention, man, but probably like in 6th grade, we lived at this house, another house in Hesperia, and this was the dope house, man. This is where everybody came and got their drugs. This was one of my dad's friends' houses. It was a real nice house, and we used to live there in a room, and that whole house, man, was just filled with drug addicts. They used to cook drugs there. They used to sell them. Long story short, the feds came, cleared everybody out. Everybody did time. We were the only ones there. We were just kids, so the cops obviously left us alone. But took everybody, man. Big old sweep, big old raid. They raided that crib, yo. And just, that just kind of gives you that perspective of all the dangers that we had to endure when we were kids. It's just horrible, man. And I'm going to go on to the next one. I'm going to put the lyrics on the screen again. All right, y'all. So next lyrics on the screen. I'm going to put them up. All right. Here we go. Next 4 bars. It's tough to fight back the tears when the buried memories of my childhood reappear. I'm asking a question. Like, Pops, what did I do to deserve this? It hurt when you deserted us for sin and drugs. So right here, man, it's self-explanatory. It's just tough. Really, even now when I talk about things, it's really tough. All the trauma and all the pain, and finally you recognize when you're an adult, it's like, wow, man, like so many of these things really made a big impact in your life, and maybe you didn't really understand it at that time, but as you grow, you recognize what all that stuff did to you, So it's tough to fight back the tears when the buried memories of my childhood reappear. Buried memories, just everything that I endured, everything that I went through, everything that I saw. It's just really hard sometimes, man, to fight back them tears when those memories, right, of my childhood, when they reappear. Like, Pops, what did I do to deserve this? And that's kind of like how I felt at times. Like, what did I do? Why am I to blame? Like, why do you do this? Like, why do you talk to me like this, right? Like, why are you how you are with me? Like, why are you like this, right? Like, what did I do, right? Just being sincere here. Just really wanting to know, like, yo, like, what did I do, man? What did I do? Why do you do this? It hurt when you deserted us for sin and drugs, right? And of course, man, it hurts when a father deserts his family for sin and drugs. And it's not like he entirely deserted us, like didn't care about his children anymore. No, he loved us. He's always seeked after us. Again, sold drugs to take care of us, right? So, but in the desertion, I'm talking more about, when I mention deserted, I'm talking more about just the not being the father that you need to be, right? That strong father figure that's protecting your family, right? For sin and drugs, that's everything that life pertains. Everything that pertains to that life, that's the sin and the drugs. And it's not just the sin and the drugs, man. It's also the infidelity. This is another something else I didn't even talk about, all the infidelity involved in that, just being with other women, and so many things, man. Like, I'm telling you, man, my mom, she went through some stuff, but not only her, so as a mother suffers, so does her children, right? So we were raised, by a single mother. So throughout the years, I carried pain. I felt embarrassed and alone, but God called me with no merit to my own. This is probably one of my favorite parts of what I say in this song because it's so truthful, man. Throughout the years, I carried pain, and I did feel embarrassed. I felt alone at times. But now, looking back at everything that God has done, he's called me, and I recognize that he's called me, right? And he's called me with no merit to my own. He's called me not because I'm a good, righteous person, not because I'm so holy. Like, I'm a sinner, man. I'm saved only by the grace of God, right? By the mercy and the grace of God. By faith and grace alone, man, and that alone, nothing that I contribute. I can't bring anything to the table. I'm a bad dude. Like, I'm a sinner, man. And I recognize that God called me. God called me with no merit to my own. You guys know what merit is. Any kind of our works, anything that we do. And it's like, it's no merits of my own. It's he's called me. You know what I'm saying? I recognize that. Now I'm going to get into the next bars real quick, all right? Let's do this. All right, man, we're going to get into these last 4 bars. Again, I just want to thank you guys for rocking with me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Now we're going to do these last 4 bars. Let's put the lyrics on the screen. And here we go. It says, if my suffering had a purpose, it was to lay this pen to the surface and reach a person with these verses. As I write this song, tears are softening these pages. Yeah, similar to what His grace did. Replace my heart of stone with the heart of flesh that reflects upon his praises. Amazing. I kind of stumbled there because originally it was reverberates upon his praises. Oh, no, it says it was the heart of flesh that reverberates his praises. But I was like, nah, I'm going to change it. Reflects upon his praises. So anyways, the beginning of that, man, I'm basically saying, reminding myself that, hey, you know what? If my suffering had a purpose, it was to lay this pen to the surface and reach someone with these verses, right? Like reach someone with my story. So I'm basically saying, like, you know, if everything that I've been through brought about something good, it was so that I can hold this pen, right? And write these lyrics on the surface of my pad, of my paper, of my notebook, and reach someone with these verses, you know? And that's actually the most fulfilling thing if I can reach someone, right? Anybody. And this is where I'll read Romans 8:28. This is where the Bible comes in, man. This is where the theology comes in. And this is what it says. Romans, the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. It says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. And you think about that verse, and I know you guys hear over and over, everything works out for the good. And it's like, no, not everything works out for the good. You know, the text is clear that all these things work out for the good, right? For those who love God, for those who are called according to his purpose. So it doesn't always work out for the good for everyone. This isn't a universal thing. This only applies to the family of God. And I just remind myself of that verse there. And I know that everything that I've been through, I know that everything that I've experienced, although it wasn't good, because of the grace of God and because of the sovereignty of God and because of the plans of God, he's worked it all out for the good. And I recognize that now, and I see that now. I did some community work here in Apple Valley at a place there. I won't give the name of it, but it's it's like a group home, right? Where there's troubled kids, underage troubled kids, right? And a lot of them have been sexually assaulted. They have really rough stories. They couldn't tell us everything because they had to be confidential. But we were doing community work, and what I was doing a music program there, and I was telling the kids. I was basically teaching them how to rhyme and how to rap, how to write rhymes, right? And how to count their bars and how to ride the beat, etc. Other stuff that just has to do with MCing. And I was letting them know that everything that they've been through, that they can express it through forms of poetry, spoken word, through rhyme. Like, it doesn't have to be just rap, because there's other kids that played guitar and stuff, and that that could sing. And I'm like, you could do it in song form. You can sing. Put everything on the paper, man. Like, I basically told them that this is therapy. This could be healing for them. That it can serve them good. Like, whenever they feel angry and frustrated, just to grab a pen and just to write that down and to make a song out of it. Make something productive out of that. And while I was doing this course there, again, I was just breaking down bars, breaking down music. And not only that, I was also giving them my life story, letting them know, like, hey, look, guys, like, you're not alone. Like, I've been through this stuff, and I think that's what it's real meaningful to me, that like the things that I've experienced, now I can go ahead and reach down to someone else who's kind of going through that, or even probably much worse than what than the things that I've been through. But I can be a voice of hope. I can be a voice of reason. And I guess that's what really brings me a lot of excitement and joy. So yeah, man, that's what brings me gratification and excitement, and to be able to reach out to especially troubled teenagers, right? Troubled kids, the youth that had a rough upbringing, you know. And when I was telling my story, like, those kids were really like, this guy gets us, you know. He's not this dude that just never seen anything, you know, like, he understands us. And I came down to that level to meet them there, and not just to talk about these things just for the sake of it, but to talk about the hope that God gives, and how He works it out for their good, and kind of just explaining it in those kind of ways. But anyways, that was a really cool experience to do that, and that's actually what gave me that's actually what inspired me to do this, you know, because I did it at that group home, and I'm like, man, bro, like, I just got to do this in general, you know. So if my suffering had a purpose, it was to lay this pen to the surface and reach a person with these verses, right? Or reach someone with these verses. As I write this song, tears are softening these pages. Yeah. I mean, literally, man, when I was writing the song, it was a tough song to write, you know. I was kind of going a different direction at first. It was really violent. I was talking about actually, like, you know, the whole fight with my dad. And I'm like, no, I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to take a different approach. But I do, however, wanted to talk about that. You know, I wanted to give that subject matter, but through how I'm doing it now. And that's just the truth, man. Like, when I was writing this song, man, like the tears were softening the pages straight up. Like, I was writing facing down, and, you know, my paper was full of tears, and it was definitely softening them pages. Yeah, similar. This is my simile here. My tears were softening this page is similar to what His grace did, the grace of God, right? Now I'm giving a simile here that I'm comparing my tears softening the pages to the grace of God softening my heart. I say He replaced my heart of stone with a heart of flesh that reflects upon His praises. Amazing. That amazing is just kind of like, after everything that happened, it was like, man, Lord, like, you're amazing, you know, like, everything that you do, everything that we go through, and you're just sovereign over everything. And guys, I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, subscribe, like. I'm going to use this subscribe platform to chop up the scriptures from time to time. Do, like, you know, short teachings, like 10-minute teachings of the Bible, and just to encourage the public, encourage the community. Again, do put out music through this platform. Showcase some dancing, showcase anything, man, any kind of inspiration. So subscribe. Again, guys, I really appreciate you guys. This is the Bars Behind the Scars series. This is part 2. There's just so much more I wanted to say, but like I said, I didn't want to rehearse this. I just wanted to be real. I just wanted to pour my heart out. I know there's at times you need to prepare yourself, you need to rehearse, but I didn't feel this was that kind of a situation. I just really wanted to. I think the most realist thing is where it happens on the spot, and I wanted this experience. So I appreciate you guys. May God bless you guys. Again, this Project Providence will be releasing this year, and it's going to have about 10 songs on it, and also releasing 2 more EPs this year. So a lot of great stuff happening. Yeah, man. So thank you guys. I appreciate the prayers, and may God bless you guys. Happy 2021. Keep safe. Stay prayed up, and may God be with you, yo. God bless you. Peace. You wanna know how I got these scars? You wanna know how I got these bars? Broken arm, broken back, broken neck. They screwed pins on his head.
then attached the halo vest. A miracle to be alive, but now his family's plagued by fear and poverty, now reality sets. In the meantime, we live with relatives. I remember the cold winter nights and the garages we slept. Years inside the courtroom, now morality begs. On the road to recovery takes a detour he forever regrets.